Good morning, everybody. It's funny to say everybody when nobody's here yet, but it's fun also to see how people show up. It's usually Rachel Asbury first in line, and then everybody else. So thank you all for watching live or for watching later. Wonderful, wonderful to have you as part of Enchanted April. And I hope that our coming together every morning is helping you to find a little bit more delight in a time that is pretty rugged for a lot of people and quite different for pretty much everybody. So our thought for the day comes from Living a Charmed Life, and it says, you do the most for someone else by staying connected to what keeps you glowing. Now, how could that be? You know, we've heard that kind of thing for a long time. You're in the airplane and put the mask on yourself first and then on somebody that you're trying to help. But it's really true. I'm sure there are some people who are so saintly and selfless that they can really give to others without taking very good care of themselves at all. And yet, for 99.999% of us, we've got to be filled up before there's any kind of spillover that we can give out. And sometimes we're asked to give a lot more than other times, and maybe we don't have a lot of time to be thinking about ourselves. So it's not selfishness like, oh, me first, you wait. It's just this knowledge that you know you're not going to leave yourself out. Think about back when you were a kid and how bad it felt sometimes if you thought you were going to be left out of something. And if somebody just assured you, no, your turn's next. No, we haven't forgotten you. See, here's your invitation. It just made you feel like you were part of it. And I think it's the same way for us. So I would love to see here on these wonderful messages, hi everybody, what you do to stay connected to what keeps you glowing. And this could be very physical and material or very ethereal and spiritual, whatever you think. Now, I do want to just put in something parenthetical that has nothing to do with what we're talking about today, but it really jumped off the TV screen at me last evening. So yesterday I did my live radio show of Main Street Vegan, so it's the podcast that's up right now. And one of my guests was Dr. Aisha Akhtar, who has worked for the Army and the Homeland Security and all these big important organizations. She's a medical doctor, she's a master's in public health, and she had just given me the total skinny on what has caused this virus that we're experiencing now to the best of scientific knowledge, and also almost all the other viruses that have plagued people in recent times and way back in history, their zoonotic origins, and why it's so important that, yes, we shut down the wet markets, and we also shut down or get on the path to shutting down factory farming, the wildlife trade, all of that. It was so clear about where these things start. And then my husband had CNN on. I was walking through the living room, and a doctor there on TV said, well, we can't really know how to proceed with a virus like this that has just come from nature, from the ethers, really. And that was what caught me. From the ethers? From a medical doctor? It didn't come from the ethers. It came through animals. It's a zoonotic disease. I found that fascinating. So when I said the word ethereal, I just had to share that with you. Now, back to the point of our conversation. You do the most for someone else by staying connected to what keeps you glowing. So I'm going to be talking today about something very concrete, because somebody yesterday asked about skincare. So I'm going to go there today. But first I'm going to answer Esther's question. Will you be at Unity Village in September? I absolutely will. That is the first vegan spirituality forum and retreat that's co-sponsored by the spiritual Forum and In Defense of Animals, and Main Street Vegan is a sponsor too. I'm going to be there with some wonderful people, including Dr. Milton Mills, Lisa Kemmerer, who's a wonderful moral philosopher and professor. And we're going to be talking about what people who identify as religious or spiritual can do within their faith-based communities to get ideas of reverence for life and vegan ethics out into the world. So yes, back home to Kansas City, to Unity Village, which is a beautiful, beautiful headquarters of Unity, where my podcast comes from. So yeah, Esther, so glad that you'll be there too. So anybody who's interested in that, you can just Google Spiritual Forum and Retreat Unity Village. That's happening September 10 through 13 of this year. So, skin. You know, after somebody asked about that yesterday, I really started thinking about it because I think there are levels that we need to talk about. And the first is not so much what we do on the surface as what we feed it from the inside. So I did a little bit of research and have made a few notes for you so that I can say something intelligent today about skin. So I want to also share with you a couple of books that are important to me. This is called The Water Secret. It's by Howard Murad, who is a dermatologist. The subtitle is The Cellular Breakthrough to Look and Feel 10 Years Younger. Now, this is unfortunately not a vegan book. I'm sorry, he likes eggs. You know, I just take what I like and leave the rest. But he's really got the skinny on water. So a lot of people think, oh, I drink water all the time. But what he's saying, and what I have found to be true, is that it's not just drinking water, gulping water, that to really get it into your cells where it needs to be, we need to have this perfect water as it comes in fresh fruits and vegetables. So my first suggestion for great skin is to eat a high water content diet. And that means lots of fresh fruits, lots of raw vegetables, smoothies, freshly extracted juices, this perfect water that's packaged perfectly in nature. I may have already said this, but if you hang out with health people very much, they get into these water arguments, and they'll say, you know, it needs to be distilled because that's the only way that it can really be pure, and somebody else will say, no, don't drink distilled water, that's going to take all the minerals away, and somebody else will say, but don't drink mineral water because those are inorganic and they're going to give you arthritis, and somebody else will say, no, you need to spend $2,000 and get this alkalinizing unit. Guess what? The water in those fresh fruits and vegetables is naturally distilled. It is full of organic minerals, and it is highly alkaline. Voila! Who says we can't have it all? So that's the first thing. What did you have for breakfast this morning, or what are you planning to have? How moist can it be? Because if you think about what you want for your skin, you want it to be moist and dewy, and so you really want to have your water secret down pat. And he also has a lot of other great ideas in here. So I want to talk about some of your skin's favorite foods. So first I want to talk about those that are rich in some of the natural oils that your skin can use. I know that many of us are very much in favor of an oil-free or almost oil-free diet, keeping it low fat for cardiovascular health and some of these other things. And yet, when you want your pet to have a beautiful, luxurious coat, the veterinarian will often suggest some sort of supplementary fat supplement. And it's the same thing for us. So we do need some of that, not excess, not saturated fat, not the kind of fats that come in animal foods, not great big globs of oil out of a bottle, but to eat in moderation foods such as avocado, walnuts, and seeds. Sunflower, sesame, you can get tahini, hemp seeds, chia seeds. All of these seeds have this kind of oil that has an affinity for your skin and helps you stay a little bit young and glowy. Now, all this stuff I test on myself. And there was a time when I just wanted to be completely non-fat, no fat. I want to have clean arteries, no fat whatsoever. And I just shriveled up like a leaf. And we're talking 35 years ago. I mean, this is not like, well, you've got to expect some of that as you age. Well, you do, but this was before I had to expect very much at all. So avocado, walnuts, sunflower, sesame, hemp seeds, etc. And then, now this is an interesting one, because they've actually done studies where they supplemented people's diets with high beta-carotene foods, carrot juice, stuff like that. And then they showed pictures of these people to other people. I presume these were Caucasian people. I don't know how that would work with people who actually have enough melanin of their own, but certainly with somebody as white as me, they're feeding them this beta-carotene rich foods. And then when they show their pictures to other people, they would point out the people who had the high beta-carotene intakes as being more attractive and sexier. So, high beta-carotene foods, sweet potatoes, red and yellow peppers, mangoes, papayas, and melons like cantaloupe. So, and squash, of course, winter squash too. Let's see, then we've got these wonderful red purple kinds of foods which have fabulous antioxidants that only live in that color of food. And this is why we're told to eat the rainbow, because all wonderful produce from the plant kingdom is fabulous, but when you get a lot of it from different places, then you're being sure that you're getting everything that you need to feel good and look good too. So pomegranate, grapes, cherries, and so often we hear about extracts of these things, that's the only way to do it, like pomegranate juice will make you a superhero. Well, admittedly, it's hard to cut a pomegranate, and some people don't like eating all of those seeds, and so yeah, it's fine. Pomegranate juice, mix it with some sparkling water so you're not just having pure fruit juice that has quite a bit of sugar if it's not divided and mixed with something else. So that's all fine, but the real basis of this is the whole fruit. Grapes too, we hear about, oh, red wine's great. Well, why is red wine great? It's great for certain things. It's really bad for most things. It's because of the skins of those red grapes. They have the resveratrol, this wonderful youth antioxidant. So you eat the grapes, you drink some diluted grape juice or put it in some foods that you're making, and you get all the good stuff that way. And then berries. Berries are superfoods. They are youtheners. They're great for skin. They're great for just living with more vitality and more of that amazing glow. Now, the superest of the superfoods is the wild blueberry. And if I've got medical medium fans on the call today, you know what he says about wild blueberries. Anthony Williams says the wild blueberry knows what you've been through. And the reasoning behind this is that all berries are fabulous. Blackberries, cultivated blueberries, raspberries, strawberries, gooseberries, they're all tremendous. But these wild blueberries are just tough little fruits. And if you've ever picked regular cultivated blueberries and then you've picked wild blueberries, you know what different plants they are. It's pretty easy to pick cultivated blueberries if you've ever had them in your garden or you've gone to a pick your own place. The bushes grow fairly tall and you just reach over and pick them, no big deal. Wild blueberries, they're scruffier and they're smaller, and you've really got to get down there and get them. And so for this reason, they're not shipped fresh. So you need to get your wild blueberries frozen. You can get them at Trader Joe's. You can get them almost any place. And some people say, well, I like to eat my food fresh. Well, I know, but according to Anthony William, the wild blueberry is such a fighter that the trauma of being frozen actually makes it more powerful when you eat it. And you can also order wild blueberries dried. I order mine from High Vibe here in New York City. It's a wonderful raw food and detox market. They have a really generous shipping policy, and I think right now we all want to be supporting individual businesses. So that's the wild blueberry, and it is full of antioxidants. So why is it so much better than a regular blueberry? Well, you can do this experiment if you have some blueberries in your fridge. I hope you do. Just take one of those blueberries, cut it in half, and you'll see that it's not blue inside. It's kind of clear, and it's fine. It's a fruit, it's a berry, it's great. And yet with the wild blueberry, if you cut one in half, it's blue all the way through. So all of those wonderful anthocyanins and those wonderful phytochemicals, those plant chemicals that are so great for us are in there. So it's a pretty cool thing. Now let me see if I have any more notes over here. Don't want to miss anything. Okay, I have a whole presentation that I call When I'm 64. That comes from that Beatles song. Of course, now I have to say back when I was 64, but maybe I'll do that as a webinar. If you guys would be interested in that, let me know, and maybe we'll do a whole seminar. Okay, eat fruit. Cheat death. There was a wonderful study that said that it looked at different populations around the world and what seemed to be the prevalent dietary causes of the problems that these particular populations had. And in the United States, the conclusion was we don't eat enough fruit. So you don't want inflammation for your skin or for your body. So what makes inflammation is animal fat, animal protein, especially dairy, foods that are cooked at very high temperatures, especially animal foods. This produces advanced glycation end products, which are called AGEs, and I love that because they are aging. How cool is that? You also don't want to have too much omega-6 fatty acids, and that means stuff like polyunsaturated oils, sunflower corn oil, soy oil, all that kind of stuff that when I was young we were told was really good. Well, for your heart and your arteries, it's slightly better than butter and lard, but it's not good for a lot of other reasons. You don't want to be eating fast food, but you don't do that anyway. Refined sugar and artificial sweeteners and refined flour. But on the other hand, there are anti-inflammatory foods. So we talked about berries. Berries are amazing. And then greens. People who are here on the call, thank you oh so very much. Can you send me your mailing address? I want to give you my new book. Well, of course I will, Esther. Yeah, that sounds amazing. Okay, greens, arugula, spinach, collards, chard, all the lettuces. I don't like spinach. I think I told you that the other day, but because the grocery delivery service accidentally sent me this huge package of spinach, I've been finding all kinds of wonderful ways to have spinach cooked. I kind of like it cooked. I just don't like it raw. So yesterday I put it in some tomato black bean soup, and my husband looked at that and he said, "Is that collard greens?" I said, "No, that's spinach." He said, "I thought we didn't like spinach." I was like, well, we like it now because we have it. We're going to eat it. Arugula, my very favorite green, collards, chard, lettuces. Oh, here's a trick with collards. You wash them, take the stem out, and put a little bit of your favorite kind of vegan cheese. You got to watch the labels on the vegan cheese because so many of them have coconut oil, which is a highly saturated fat. But I like Kite Hill and Tree Line, and you just put some of that cheese. It's made out of nothing but almond milk or cashew milk with a little bit of acidophilus, a little bit of Celtic sea salt, and you put it on the collard green and then roll it up, and you make yourself this fabulous wrap with a raw collard green. So all that kind of thing. Cabbage family vegetables, which have phytochemicals you can't get anywhere else. Broccoli, bok choy, Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, and kale, of course. Celery, celery juice, beets. That's another one I don't like. Honesty, honesty. Confession is good for the soul, my grandmother used to say. But you know what? I ordered some roasted beets in the grocery delivery that's about to show up. and I'm going to eat them because, you know, what we do for beauty. The walnuts, the chia, the flax seeds again, and of course all the spices. Everything that's good for your body is good for your skin. Now, I want to talk about a couple of supplements and then I'll get into skin care. So your skin depends on what goes inside it, and it's also meant to be somewhat self-healing, like everything else in the body. The old natural hygienist had this wonderful line, "The body heals itself when given the needs of life and otherwise left alone." So I'm not one for taking bottles and bottles of supplements, but I am one for taking vitamin D because I don't do a lot of going out in the sun. And the very kind person yesterday that said I had nice skin, thank you very, very much. I really think that's from not going out in the sun. And I've had so many lessons about this in my life. When I was living in London at 18, and I've talked to you guys so much today, I don't know if I'm repeating myself from a previous time, but the daughter of this English family that I knew went off to be a lifeguard in Israel for 2 years, and when she came home, I couldn't believe how much more beautiful her mother's skin was than hers. And also when I went to Tibet, I met nuns, and the Mother Superior at this Buddhist nunnery in Lhasa had the most beautiful skin of anybody that I had ever seen. It turned out she was 76 years old, but she had gone into the convent at 13. And in Tibet, when you're in a convent, it means you spend a lot of time chanting and meditating and not going outside. And also other people in Tibet, particularly the nomads who largely lived outside, had very leathery, wrinkled skin even when they were kids. So sun, for as happy as it makes us, and the fact that the action of sun on the skin does create the hormone that is vitamin D, I just stay away from it, and I largely give the credit for that to my daughter. She seems to have come from the womb with an understanding of skin protection. I remember once she was probably 17. I think we had just moved to New York, and we were walking up a street, and she said, "We have to cross the street. The sun is aging me." And I thought, well, gosh, if it's aging you, it is super aging me. So I do get vitamin D3. I take Complement Plus. It has the vitamin D3 in there, along with vitamin B12 and other things that I know I need as a vegan. We'll talk about that some other day. But I also want to talk about an additional supplement that may be helpful to skin. We know from scientific studies that it is definitely helpful to nails and to hair. And so it would stand to reason that biotin, which is a B vitamin, might be good for skin as well. And you know, what's wrong with having great nails and hair while we're at it? So that's kind of the inner skin message that I have. And the outer message for me is really simple. One of my many goals in life as I try to become the person that I wanted to be when I was a little girl, it is to be one of those women that all the cosmetic products come from the same company. And you open the... But I don't have that at this point in my life. The closest that I've come is whenever I go to London, I go to Neal's Yard. So if anybody knows London, is familiar with Neal's Yard, put it here in the messages. Neal's Yard is this wonderful, wonderful little enclave in the Covent Garden area. It's got my fabulous favorite vegan restaurant, a wild food cafe. It's just a charming, charming little place, and it's the headquarters for Neal's Yard Remedies, and you can get Neal's Yard Remedies online and from salespeople. And they're pretty fabulous, and they're all packed in blue glass containers, very, very pure. So when I grow up and become the person that I truly want to be, all of my products will be Neal's Yard Remedies. But another company that I like a lot is Dr. Hauschka. Very, very pure stuff. They have a cleansing milk with calendula in it. And whenever I squeeze some of that out or stick my nose in the bottle, just the scent of it is enough to make me feel like, okay, I'm 10 years younger already. I don't even need to wash my face, except that I do, because we always do. So basically for me, it's the idea of a very light cleanse in the morning, some serum, always sunblock, and that's about it. And then my caffeine-containing eye cream that I told you about yesterday. That one was from the Fanciful Fox. And then at nighttime, in all honesty, the biggest thing for me is just to make sure that I take care of my face before I just conk out. Because if I eat dinner and then sit down to watch a TV show, which might become 2 TV shows, then it's going to be really, really hard for me to give my face what it deserves. And what a lot of people are saying that it deserves now, and this comes from my other daughter, my stepdaughter Sharn, who used to be a makeup artist and still has so much great information about that, is this 2-step cleansing, where you start with an oil cleanser. And one that I really like is a vitamin B cleanser that I'm out of now, but I'll find out the brand name and I'll post that for you. But something kind of oily to mix with the makeup and the grit and the grime and get rid of that. But then another cleanse to get rid of the oil. And so for that, I use any kind of liquid cleanser, usually whatever has been in my Kinder Beauty box. So I talked a little bit about this week's Main Street Vegan podcast. The first guest is a co-owner of Kinder Beauty, and she is Daniela Monet. She's an actress and a wonderful vegan entrepreneur out there in LA. One of the other co-owners is Ivana Lynch, who's just delightful. She does the Chick Peeps podcast. She's a wonderful animal rights person. She was in the Harry Potter movies. She almost won Dancing with the Stars last year. Wonderful, wonderful person. But they have this great delivery service called Kinder Beauty. It's just kinderbeauty.com. And every month you get this fabulous box. And I have to say that when I got my box in late March, just as we were hunkered down into the quarantine situation, I almost cried. It was just like, I have this box of fabulous stuff. And I love what they do, because everything they send is not only high quality, super natural, entirely vegan and cruelty free, but they also give you big enough sizes that you can really try something out. And I've found so many wonderful, wonderful products in those boxes. So I'm using the one from, I think, the February box right now. So just some kind of non-oily cleanser that you use with water, a little bit of spritzy toner, and I'm using Fanciful Fox right now, and then a serum again, and I'm using one from Kinder Beauty, and then a nighttime moisturizer and a nighttime eye cream. Now there is one school of thought, and this is the Dr. Hauschka people, that you don't want to moisturize at night, because at nighttime you're supposed to be detoxing your skin as well, and all of those poisons and toxins are supposed to come out through your skin, and if you've got moisture on there, it's going to impede that. Well, so far to date, I continue to impede that by using moisturizer at night. So I hope that that answers the question of the person who asked it, and that it has been an acceptable presentation for everybody else. So thank you very, very much for being part of Enchanted April. Please tell your friends, and I hope to see you every morning through this month. Bless you in every kind of way, and have a delightful day.